kind of how the transition went in terms of, financially. And I know everybody wants to know that, so I'll give you a few comments on that.
Yeah.
We look at everything in terms of revenue. We don't worry as much about the AUM. We're gonna hit $1 billion here in the next couple of months, which is great. AUM is awesome, but revenue is what really matters. Based on what we're gonna do for this year, we're gonna be about 70% revenue wise of where we were, pre-transition. But every advisor is going to be positive on their net versus where we were when we left. And that's only a year in. Yeah. We're getting more introductions, more opportunities in the last couple of months than we did in the last couple of years before we left. If I'm giving advice to someone thinking about a transition, is don't even worry about trying to transfer 100% of your book. Don't even think about it, right? It doesn't really matter. What matters is at the end of the day, are you better off financially than you were before you left? And I think that math is relatively easy. When I talk to recruits and we're talking to people, I'm like, basically, if you can get to 65% of your revenue, you're better off than where you are today. And most people look at that as a pretty easy hurdle to get over.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Firm Transitions podcast today. We have a really great one for you. When $1 billion plus team made up of 3 Wells Fargo lifers makes a move to the independent channel, it causes a lot of ripples in the local market. And that's exactly what happened when Jordan Rosinski, Angela Darp, and Mary Ware from Charlotte, North Carolina, made the move from Wells Fargo to open up their own independent practice, Carnegie Wealth, with LPL Financial. Fantastic story around why they started to consider the independent channel, why they chose the firm they did, and why they didn't press the easy button and go to FiNet and choose to go to LPL Financial instead. And also, just since they've made the move, now that it's close to right after their 1-year anniversary, how their business has morphed and how they've taken advantage of the additional flexibility and better ability to communicate with their clients that they have on the independent channel. On the podcast today, we have Angela and Jordan to tell their story. Angela, Jordan, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having us, Corey.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't mind just telling us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been in the industry and what got you to this point, it would be super helpful.
Sure, Corey, I'm going to start with that. I started with Wachovia right out of college. So as a personal banker in the branches, and got exposed to a lot of different areas, and then had the opportunity when Wachovia decided to license individuals in the branches that I raised my hand. I like the asset management side a lot better than the lending side. So did that in 1994. So about 5 years after I started in the branches. Fascinating because it was a startup at Wachovia at the time. And, got to just call a list of CD clients and, ask them if they wanted to do something different. So it was fascinating and fun at the time because the actual company was growing and learning how to offer, investments inside of a bank branch. It didn't take me long in terms of wanting to kind of go up market. So I raised my hand again and said, I'd like to go into the private bank as the financial advisor. So I did that after a couple of years. I like the team concept. I love the specialties so that we can present as a team. And that has been fabulous. So I moved out of the branch pretty quickly. But overall, I've been with Wachovia, Wells Fargo for 34 years before making this jump into the independence. And Jordan and I have been together as partners for a number of years prior to that.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then my background's a little bit different, coming from a little bit different angle. So I actually started in public accounting. So I have a accounting degree, started at Deloitte, was in their private client high net worth group, doing tax prep, tax planning, estate planning, things like that. Passed the CPA exam, decided I wanted to be a little bit more comprehensive in what I was doing. And I had an opportunity to move to Wachovia in 2004 into their financial planning group. And it was kind of a neat opportunity, especially at that age. I think I was 25 years old, to work with a lot of clients in a short period of time and get in front of people, but then also have the opportunity to build a business because they were trying to go out and sell executive financial planning services to big companies. And so I had the chance to kind of be a part of that process, which was really, really cool. I decided ultimately that I wanted to have more control over my client relationships and over building my own book of business. And so an opportunity came up in '07 to move into the brokerage world where, I've been ever since. And Angie and I partnered up in '08, just about a year after that, and have been, growing, building ever since. So my stint at Wells Fargo was 19 years total. The first 3 were in financial planning in the private bank, and then the last 16 were in Wells Fargo Advisors.
Awesome. That's super helpful. And how did you build your business inside of Wells Fargo? What were your main types of clients? Did, the majority of it come from referrals from the bank, or was it self-sourced? Can you just give us a little bit of an overview of that?
Yeah, and I'm happy to do that. I mean, inside the private bank, it's a little bit of we go out as a team. So the referral could come from anywhere. As one of the few female advisors in the private bank at that time, I had the luxury of being always any type of women's event in Charlotte. I've spoken at the convention center for a women's event. I've gone out to nursing homes. So some of it was more team oriented. And I found too, just working within the enterprise, we could work within the investment bank or other executives within Wells Fargo, Wachovia at the time. So it was kind of a team approach. I would say some going outside more proactive, but more, I kind of focused more on the enterprise and getting referrals as opposed to all the seminars and things like that, because I felt like I could get exposure quicker. And then if you actually are working with an executive within Wells Fargo, well, guess what? They're going to refer other ones or friends of theirs. So kind of found that niche within the private bank.
Yeah, let's say we kind of flexed our business development muscles inside the organization. That was really kind of how we built our business, was networking internally with different partners and being on good terms and good teammates with all of those folks. And I think that, this is probably where you're going with this. What changed about that over time was that worked great for such a long time, and it was fantastic for us and our partners. But as the organization the landscape shifted, the organization changed. Ultimately, the model that we were all used to broke down, and it wasn't a team-oriented environment anymore, and it wasn't really what we had kind of all grown up doing. And so when we kind of had to take a step back at that point and say, okay, well, if we basically have to rebuild this team ourselves, which is essentially what we're going to have to do, build these resources around ourselves. If we're going to have to do that, then we want to start with a blank canvas, and we want to do it our own way, and we want to have resources that help us to do that. And that, really is kind of what got us going on this whole journey in the first place, was the whole, business environment that Angie described didn't exist anymore. And so it was sort of like the firm or the environment left us versus the other way around.
And that was around 2021. We were looking back at some of our teammates. We hired 4 individuals in 2021. A financial planner that was potentially getting displaced at Wells Fargo, was very talented and came with us. We have someone from our trading group that was hired a couple years prior that can do a lot of our discretionary trading for us. So like Jordan said, we were starting, we brought a team of 10. So we were getting to the point we were pretty big on our own to service our clients. So why do it there if we're not getting any help?
Sure. Makes sense. What other limitations were there? I understand not being able to, leverage people inside of Wells Fargo to continue to grow your business. You're a self-sustained kind of organization inside of Wells Fargo at this point. What other limitations were there that, started to, make you want to consider the independent channel a little bit more? Was there anything else in specific?
Yeah, I mean, I think and some of this is probably, looking back a little bit, but I think some of the things that started to, bristle a little bit were our inability to market ourselves. That was really, really build our own brand, really get out there and market on social media, use video, use, the different tools that are available out there now. It was almost impossible for us to do those things with the compliance environment and things like that. And so we just had gotten to a point where we wanted to grow, we wanted to market ourselves, we wanted to be able to be out there doing all those things, but it just made it really difficult, to do. And then the other was the technology part of it was a big one for us. the technology that it's a one size fits all, right? And a lot of the big firms operate that way, where the same technology that is being used by the advisor in the branch that's just starting out is the same technology that we're using when we're serving clients that have $50 million. And
Yeah.
so, we didn't have any ability to vary that. Even if we wanted to pay for something and add it, we didn't have that ability. And so I think those are probably two of the big ones that really kind of just we kept running up against. And I think as time went on and we kept growing, we kind of kept running up against these constraints of, we wanted to be able to do more and we couldn't.
Another thing that we ran into when I said something about was hiring people. We wanted to grow, and we did hire this financial planner. He has his MBA. He'd been in the financial planning group for 10 years, unlicensed. So he had to interview twice within the HR world at Wells Fargo, knowing he was going to get the job. The job was done. And it didn't make sense. We needed to cultivate younger talent and to bring in another, say, a young advisor, or to have some of our CAs grow into that. You get into weird split rep codes, you get into, giving them a book. It's very rigid because that's their rules versus and then we just look, and even going to FiNet, we're like, none of this is going to get solved. All this stuff that we're running into, I didn't see it as an easy button at all. The more we learned about it is when we went, whoa, let's go see what else is out there. Nice. I'm a 910. I don't want to supervise everybody's trades. We didn't want to be a real estate broker. We don't want to be a marketing person building our website. So we were like going, whoa, that's way too much to bite off to go to FiNet. And it wasn't solving any of what we were bristling about at the moment.
Sure. Makes sense. By the way, with the marketing, I was in a restaurant in Charlotte about a week ago, and I saw two Carnegie Wealth hats at different tables. So the marketing is working. The marketing is working, and we'll dig into that, a little bit more later.
If I need a Yeti, we have some of those as well.
But what firms did you explore when you started saying, okay, the wirehouse might not be the right fit for us? Was it just employee firms? Were you considering, some other regional broker dealers out there as well?
So I mean, really where the exploration started was with FiNet. We started there, we looked at that for a little bit. It didn't feel like the right fit. We can certainly talk more about that. But when we started to then kind of expand our scope and look around the industry a little bit, we had never looked around. I mean, that's the funny thing about this whole thing is we had been in the same place for a very long time. We really didn't look around the industry at all during those many years at Wells. And so it was kind of eye-opening when we kind of went out there and looked and saw what was available. And it was really neat. We saw a lot of different things. Some you could pretty quickly say, hey, that's not a great fit for us for what we're looking for. But we had some great conversations with Sanctuary. We had great conversations with Commonwealth, but very impressed with both of them. But at the end of the day, we just kept coming back to LPL, and it just felt like with their scale and what, their growth mindset and where they wanted to go and the offering that they had with Strategic Wealth, it just felt like that was what was calling to us for what we wanted to build.
Sure. That makes a ton of sense. Jordan, we talked about this last time that, we met together. Just, why didn't you go to FiNet? I speak with so many Wells Fargo advisors all the time, and they just say, Corey, I could go independent. I don't need to repaper, and, I don't need to, ask my clients to move with me to another firm. My assets aren't going to get broken up amongst the advisors in the office and, have them try to retain the business. Angela, I heard you say, don't want to be a 910, totally understandable, but what were some of the other things going through your mind, when you were made that decision to go outside of the fund?
Yeah, I mean, Angie hit on a couple of the things. One for big one for me, back to like some of our pain points, even when, at Wells, was you still can't build your own tech stack in FiNet. So for us, when we started looking around the industry and seeing the cool stuff that was out there, again, our eyes got big, and we were like, well, we want that. We want to have those tools. We want to be able to go and build our own thing, and you can't do that. And so that was one thing. The other thing is recruiting. I mean, we had a vision, and we can talk about kind of longer term what our vision is, but we had a vision for what we wanted Carnegie to be, and and recruiting is a big part of that. And our network naturally is a lot of people inside of Wells Fargo. And so, for us to move over to FiNet and then essentially be restricted from recruiting folks from inside to join us felt like it was, making maybe one step in a positive direction and two steps backwards, because we didn't really, we were going to be hamstrung from building what we wanted to build. And so I think between, the compliance environment being, what it was and not really being any different from what we were used to, the principling trades, some of the operational things, not having the support to, really for any of the business functions. So we would have to go out and find our own real estate and then, get it built out and then build, engage with a marketing firm and build out a brand, and like all those different things that we've done now here sitting a year in. We would have had to do all those ourselves and pay people to help us and quarterback all of it, and just felt like, in addition to moving our clients and learning how to be business owners, that felt like way too much for us with some of the headwinds that I already talked about working against us.
Sure. So, inside of all of these independent broker dealers, there are, so many different ways that you can affiliate, whether it's with, an RIA or a smaller enterprise or a supported independence model or whatever it may be. I think it's important to cover kind of the way that you both decided to make the move to independence with, LPL Strategic Wealth Services model. Can you talk about the turnkey nature of that and some of the things that they took off of your plate, and especially in the beginning?
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk about, I mean, that I think was what's so attractive. We did look at RIA, we did look at, you got FiNet, you've got something like Commonwealth. I think supporting us in the marketing, the real estate, the bookkeeping, we have these services, it still allows us to make all the decisions, but we have people helping us.
Sure.
So that we can focus on our clients, and building the business. I mean, that was what was really important to us, because that's what we are at the end of the day. We both have that entrepreneur spirit, the business side to it. But we also knew we couldn't spend 70% of our time doing those things. And we were a team of 10. We were not a team of 1 or 2. I mean, it was a lot of people that we had to make sure their benefits were still intact. Just all of those little decisions we made, but we needed help, and the supported independents just continued to jump out at us. And we love and everybody we met, and they have done what they told us they were going to do. And we can say that
I think
a year in.
They've exceeded all of our expectations in terms of support and partnership. And, a couple of things just to add to that, because I agree with all that. One is, again, going back to what we said before, we're comfortable operating in a team environment. We always have been. And it feels like we're part of a big team within Strategic Wealth. We have all these people around us that are experts in these different areas that we can tap into and leverage their experience and knowledge that is far beyond ours in certain areas. And so we're good at leveraging those resources. And so that was one part of it, that once that we saw the model presented to us, it made sense, and we felt like we could really take advantage of it and leverage it to the best of our abilities. The second part is just LPL in general. It's a growth-minded culture. It's a company that's on offense, and they're out there trying to grow, and you can see that in the newspapers pretty much every week that they're on that mission. And it aligned really well with us, an organization that wants to go out there and evolve and compete and win and be the best. It was very much in alignment with our values and what we wanted. And so when you combine that culture with all of the resources and everything that Strategic Wealth was bringing to the table, for us, it just felt like a natural fit across the board.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. I speak with wirehouse financial advisors all the time. It's probably the majority of who I speak with, and maybe still only 20% of wirehouse advisors I speak to know a supported model like this exists. I think a lot of reasons financial advisors are still at the wirehouse is because they get to go to the office in the morning, take care of their clients, and then they get to go home to their family, and they don't need to be in the trenches in terms of dealing with the office space and doing the payroll and the marketing and all of those different things that are really alien to a wirehouse advisor, all of these things. There's a lot of supported independent models out there where literally day one, you're cutting the ribbon to your new independent office that's been custom built for you. And I don't think a lot of wirehouse advisors know that all of that heavy lifting could be outsourced and done. So you could just have a laser focus on bringing over your clients. And then once they're over, taking care of them, as you're ongoing and building your business. I also think a lot of,
I can tell you, we didn't know what was out there. We didn't know that this existed. And who knows, if we had known that, maybe we would have done something sooner. But I mean, the reality is, I think you're exactly right. There's so many advisors that want to be able to come in, take care of their clients, and go home and not have to worry about all of those things. And I think that for those types of advisors, I think a supported independence model is a fantastic fit.
Right. Yeah, and I also don't think there's a lot of financial advisors out there that know that there's potentially opportunities like yours as well. There's people that have went out there and they've done the heavy lifting in terms of the office space and the brand and the website, where they could plug in and basically get some of the conveniences of the employee channel, with all the flexibility and autonomy of the independent channel that they're looking for. So once again,
exactly. And that is something we're still continuing to do. And I would say I'm older than Jordan. When this process started and we were looking at FiNet, I mean, what I'm looking for too is how does this business evolve for me personally? How can I control that next chapter in my life and retirement? And I want flexibility to that. And the independent channel really gives us that in terms of mentoring young advisors to come in. Do I peel off 20% at a time? Can I stay on consulting? I don't want to just say at a certain age I'm done and I only have one or two people to turn that over to. Financially, that's an ordinary income versus this is capital gain. But that wasn't what drove me in terms of I couldn't see where that could be done where we were.
Sure.
If I'm a planner, I look out long term. I couldn't see in 10 years that my team and my partner and my clients would still be in a good spot. That was another thing with FiNet. I mean, we didn't want it. Someone said, go to FiNet in 7 years, then go independent. That doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I don't think like that. I was like, if we're going to do this, let's do it right today. And we did bring over 2 advisors with us that are approximately the same age, that we've maybe got that 10-year time horizon. I want to control what that transition looks like, because I want my clients and the partners and the team in a great spot. And this, I think this is going to be it.
And I think that at the end of the day, that's what every advisor wants, is they want control, and they want to be able to determine how they run their practice. They want to determine how they exit the business. They want to determine, the different way they spend their day, right? And so I think that what we saw in this model and what we are trying to create and provide for other advisors too is that freedom and flexibility to do your business the way that you want to and have more control. And so that's what, to me, makes the independent space so attractive.
For sure. So let's fast forward. Office is built, website's built. You're ready to go, and it's time to resign and start calling clients. How did you feel on that day? How did client conversations go? Walk us through that a little bit.
And we'll start that. It was scary, to say the least. I mean, we'd all been there for a very long time. But we literally walked into our office. Our computers were set up with our names. We're ready to go. Certainly had to wait till licenses got changed over. It went a lot like a lot of people told us. I mean, you start making those phone calls. Maybe a third of the clients are right off the bat. Yes, where are you? We're coming. Great. There's another third that says, okay, explain this to me a little bit more. And we've got to go, a little bit more in depth. There's some clients we did not call because whether they weren't a fit for us at that point, or we just thought, they probably wouldn't move because maybe they are too tied up, in the institution. So, I mean, we got a lot of yeses early, but it's hard work. I cannot take that away from anything. It's scary. But it's also, I mean, it was refreshing to see some of our clients just not bat an eye and say, absolutely. Some of them didn't even ask where we were. Or, I mean, they're just like, okay. It was a little unfortunate. The banking crisis kind of happened in our move. So I think there were a lot more questions about the safety of the firm and that sort of thing. So, we had to talk a little bit more about who LPL was. I mean, LPL is bigger than Wells Fargo, asset wise and number of advisors. So some of those discussions, we weren't as prepared for at the time. We looking back, tell advisors, make sure you know that or promote it. We still have clients calling us today, saying, can I come? That maybe, got stuck in their ways and thought they'd just stay there. So, I mean, it's hard. But it actually is very affirming to what we've done in the last 20 years, 30 years. And right now, we do not have clients that we don't fit with at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you'd be lying if you didn't say that it was scary. And you're leaving behind a lot of the safety and security that you've always known. And that's hard. Anytime you do that, that's hard. I think that you have to have a real conviction that what's on the other side is better. And we had that. And so, as you go through the conversations with the clients, you get a little bit better every time, you know what I mean? And you start hearing the same questions over and over, and you can sort of reframe it in a really positive way. And I think that as the first, week or two went along and we got, all those conversations under our belt, then, it just you started to settle down a little bit and relax, and you get plenty of yeses, like Angie said early on, and you get a lot of, honestly really heartwarming comments from clients that make you, it kind of re-energizes you and make you feel good about, what you're doing and stuff like that. And there's disappointments and discouragements along the way too. I think there is for every advisor. Every advisor that we talked to before that had made a transition said the same exact thing. You're going to be disappointed. You're going to, people are going to hurt your feelings that you didn't expect. And that's absolutely true. But you know what? At the end of the day, it didn't matter. And we got to where we needed to be. And so, there's clients that surprised us on the positive side that I didn't expect that would come and ended up coming. So it's a mixed bag. In the end, it's all, it's a lot of hard work, but it's you get through it, and it's so much better on the other side.
That's awesome. I appreciate you giving the good and the bad feedback.
Yeah.
So you're at close to your right after your 1 year anniversary now, right?
Yep.
So what's changed in your business, in the way that you're communicating with clients, in the way that you're serving clients with the additional flexibility that you have now?
I'll talk a little bit. Jordan can talk too. I mean, just what we're able to, we're due every week is a Tuesday market minute on, video that's put out to our clients. Never would have been able to do that. We are communicating with clients so much more frequently than we were allowed to do. LinkedIn. I mean, there's just so many things that, again, Wells Fargo's compliance had to manage to the least common denominator, and there wasn't that flexibility. So that's just the outreach, because we want to communicate to our clients. And if we're making portfolio changes, we want to tell them what we're doing and how we're doing it. And we can't take a month to get that through compliance. We have to say the right things, and our compliance looks at it. It's usually 24 hours that they'll look at something Jordan might write up or something like that.
Yeah, we have a guaranteed 24-hour turnaround on compliance reviews. So.
And they are not marked up. As long as we're not guaranteeing something, it's pretty easy. So I think, that's just communication. And that was one thing we told clients on the phone. We want to communicate with you more. A lot of times we weren't allowed to. I mean, we weren't allowed to like something on LinkedIn. I mean, we couldn't like something our clients posted about their own firm. I mean, just some of those little things like that is different now. I mean, but we've got tons on the technology side. We've got tax planning that's just fabulous. We couldn't even talk about taxes before. We're not trying to prep their taxes, but we do have tax planning. We have technology that we chose to fit our clients. One of the big ones where Jordan came from is more the fee-based planning, so I kind of let him talk more about that. They were real excited.
That was one of the things that was really something we wanted to be able to implement. Was there's a lot of clients out there that don't fit a typical AUM model. They you know, whether they're business owners that put all their assets back into their business, could be a corporate executive that has all their stuff tied up in company plans or whatever. There's lots of situations you can kind of think of that these are great clients, right? These are great long-term clients, and the way to work with them is on a fee-based planning engagement, financial planning engagement. And so we have the ability to do that now. LPL is very, very supportive in that space. They've been a great partner in us building out our model. And since we've been here, we launched it in September, I think was our first launch of it. We've got over $100,000 in fees, planning fees booked just in that period of time with clients that we wouldn't have probably been able to access any other way. And so, you know, being able to build out, you know, be creative, build out different things, access these great tools, think about how we want to go to market with whether it's marketing, social media, video, you know, all these different things. There's so many different ways that we can attack the business that we couldn't before. And so I think that's probably been the most fun part of the whole thing, is actually, like I said, starting with a blank canvas and thinking about what do we want the business to look like? How do we want to go out there and be in the marketplace? And that was what was really neat and what we've been able to kind of, you know, build over the last 12 months.
That's amazing. It's hard to believe when you're, you know, in the wirehouse that there could be that much flexibility out there. You know,
yeah, we didn't realize it, but it is amazing. Some of like the technology, I mean, like I said, we were just fascinated with everything that's out there. I mean, it still blows our mind. We chose a CRM early on, and we've already changed 6 months in. We went and got exposed to a newer one that's out there that's easier to use. It was easy to switch over. I think technology is going to continue to evolve. So you're not stuck. I mean, if you find a better deliverable that fits your client base or your practice, that's your decision to change that. No one's telling you you can't. Or, you know, we have one that we are really trying to implement, and it's amazing. It's not used by LPL today. So we're asking them something different than they've done before, and they got legal on the phone or on Zoom. They got compliance on Zoom. They've got business partners with myself and Matt to talk about why we wanted this technology. I mean, it was not a no. It wasn't, we don't know what that, it was like,
help us understand
why you want to implement this technology, and let's find a way that it fits, that we're all comfortable. And we're close to actually implementing that. Which is, again, it's a let's work together attitude, a yes attitude. How do we make it work? Not, no, we don't do that, and that's not going to work.
Yeah, and that was the plug. I was going to put in a plug for the Strategic Wealth technology team on that too. That just, they've been so helpful as we've gone out there. We've thought about different things, and we're a very fast moving group. Like we're on to the next idea, and we're thinking about things, and they've been right there with us step by step. You know, hey, look at this. Like, take a look at this piece of technology. What do you think about this? You know, could you see a use for this? You know, I think here's some pros and cons of the different tools and things like that. They've just been fantastic partners in that journey for us.
We've pushed them.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. I mean, you know, you're the client now. And sometimes when I'm doing due diligence with a wirehouse advisor, they have, you know, a hard time kind of, you know, getting that or just understanding that. I was working with another financial advisor in North Carolina a year ago, and he's like, Corey, everyone is being so nice. Like, why are they being so nice? And I'm this person, I'm like, you know, you're the client now. I mean, if they're not providing you, you know, what you need, you can pick up and you could bring your clients with you and all your data, and you're not competing for your clients ever again. And it's the same reason why a financial advisor, you know, overserves their clients. They want them to be happy. They want them to stay. They know they have a lot of options, and it's just a completely different mindset.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. And I 100%, I mean, we feel that every day from the LPL team, Strategic Wealth team, is that we are the clients. They absolutely are there to help us to, you know, be more productive, to grow our business, to, you know, to get what we want in terms of how we serve our clients. They're great partners, and we definitely feel that.
They ask our opinion. which
Yeah.
is fascinating. We went to a conference in August of last year, so kind of right in the middle, Mary and Jordan and I, and they actually lined up the lead of almost every group, and they came to us and said, what's not working? What's different? What did you like before? What can we do? And we're all kind of like, whoa. I mean, it's just fascinating that they want our opinion.
Yeah, we had conversations with Dan Arnold. We had conversations with Rich Steinmeier, the head of growth. You know, we were in the room with, you know, with all the kind of top leaders in a small group getting to ask questions around, you know, the topics that were on our minds, and they wanted to hear, they were asking questions to us. They wanted to hear what do you guys think about, you know, X, Y, or Z. And so it's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
It really is. It is ingrained in the culture. And that is so refreshing to be part of a culture that really wants to know what the advisors think and builds things to, you know, what the advisors want.
That's awesome. I appreciate all of the honest feedback and you sharing your story. I think there's so many financial advisors that want answers to these questions, and they just don't know where to go to get the answers without a bunch of people finding out that they're looking around. So thank you for taking the time, you know, to do this. I know you're trying to build something really special at Carnegie Wealth, you know, locally in the Carolinas and potentially beyond. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. You know, I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're trying to build a home for great advisors where they have all the tools and resources that they need, the support that they need, and the freedom and flexibility that they want to be able to grow their business. I mean, that in a nutshell, that's what we're trying to build. And so everything that we've done along the way, we're not just building this for us. We're building this for all the people that hopefully will come after us to create that type of experience for them too. And so everything that we're doing is done with scale in mind, with how do we, you know, add the next 1, 2, 5 advisors to take advantage of these tools and these things that we're building. We're not a fit for everybody. I'll just say that right off the bat. But for advisors that are planning oriented, that want to grow and that are feeling, you know, confined, tapped out, you know, whatever you want to call it, and are looking for that freedom and flexibility and a great model to be able to just plug into and say, hey, I'm ready to grow. I think we're a great fit. I also think we're a great fit for advisors who are kind of in that last phase of their career and are thinking about their, you know, their end game, right? And we've got a great young team here that you know can help to facilitate, you know, a transition and on the advisor's own terms and how they want that to look. And so, you know, I think that, you know, when we, you know, look back over the last 12 months, we've built a lot of what we wanted, you know, we wanted to build. There's a lot more to go, to be honest with you, of what we want to be able to bring to our advisors and to create. So I'm excited about where we kind of are on that curve right now, because I think we've been through kind of the hard part. We've been through a lot of the heavy, you know, foundational work and all that kind of stuff. And now we're starting to really see it come to fruition. So it's exciting to be kind of at that part of it. We've got $2 million producers that are on the docket to come over the next year that'll be, you know, joining the practice. We're excited to add more beyond that, and we're having great conversations out there with people right now about that and what, you know, what Carnegie could do for them as they're thinking about the next phases of their career. So it's cool. I mean, you know, I think all that is great, but the coolest thing about it is the culture here. Every advisor here, they run their own book, they do their own thing, but they like being part of a team. They want to learn from each other. They want to, you know, to go and win together and be part of something special. We actually have fun together, and we do all kinds of fun things. We played pickleball a couple of weeks ago. We do, it's a fun culture. And I think if you're the type of person that wants to be a part of that, I think we're a great fit, you know, for that too. So it's exciting where we are, you know, here, you know, a year in.
That's awesome. I think you've built a fantastic model. Your office in South Park is gorgeous. And I think a lot of financial advisors think potentially plugging into something like this, they're giving away autonomy and ownership, which in my opinion couldn't be, you know, further from the truth. There could be, you know, independence without isolation and still be part of an awesome team where, you know, you can still do what you want to do. And
That's absolutely true.
yeah, I've been in your office. It's fantastic. And you're also really fun people to work with as well, which is almost more just as important.
We think
So
so too. We are having a team of office Olympics at the end of the month, so hopefully no one gets hurt and we have a good time. So we do enjoy one another, and that's part of the fit. When we, anyone that is joining us, they're going through that process with us to make sure they fit with us and we fit with them. But we also, if you haven't figured out, we like to learn. I mean, we really do enjoy learning, and we're still learning what else is out there. And I think that's also something we offer to maybe a solo advisor that's coming in. They're going to get to learn too from all of the things we've done over the years, and we'll learn something from them. I mean, so I think just having that growth mind, the learning mindset of what's out there that we didn't know before, and is hungry for that. I think it's someone that could be a good fit for us.
I love it. I really, really appreciate the time. I think this was super valuable. Is there anything else either of you want to add that you think listeners should be thinking about, or should we call it a wrap?
No, the only thing I would maybe add is, kind of how the transition went in terms of, financially. And I know everybody wants to know that, so I'll give you a few comments on that.
Yeah.
We look at everything in terms of revenue. We don't worry as much about the AUM. We're gonna hit $1 billion here in the next couple of months, which is great. AUM's awesome, but revenue is what really matters. And based on what we're gonna do for this year, we're gonna be about 70% revenue wise of where we were, pre-transition. But every advisor is gonna be positive on their net versus where we were when we left, and that's only a year in. Yeah. We're getting more introductions, more opportunities in the last couple of months than we did in the last couple of years before we left. And so, what we always looked at when we were thinking through the transition was, if we can get to critical mass where every advisor is better off than where they were before they left, then you've got this whole big blue ocean in front of you of all the growth opportunities and everything that's part of being an independent business. And we're having friends introduce people to us, and new things come about that wasn't happening before. And so, I would just look at it for, if I'm giving advice to someone thinking about a transition, is don't even worry about trying to transfer 100% of your book. Don't even think about it, right? It doesn't really matter. What matters is, at the end of the day, are you better off financially than you were before you left? And I think that math is relatively easy. When I talk to recruits and we're talking to people, I'm like, basically, if you can get to 65% of your revenue, you're better off than where you are today. And most people look at that as a pretty easy hurdle to get over. And I think that is especially over a longer period of time, that is a very realistic hurdle to get over, versus saying, well, if you got to get 90%. Well, gosh, 90% is hard to get to. You'll eventually get there with growth, but you don't have to. That bar, that's not where the bar is. And so I really encourage advisors to really get into the numbers and really think about it, and think about, okay, by the time we left, Corey, because of the resources and the team we had to build, we were taking home about 37% of our revenue, of our top line, because we had to pay overrides and we had to pay people on the team, adding people to create these resources. And so that's a huge difference. So now every new dollar that comes in is 60%, right? That's a big difference, and so even if you don't, maybe the revenue's not, exactly where you want it to be right out of the gate, it's the long term that is the game. And long term could be your transition out, like Angie was saying. You're selling at a market rate into, at a capital gain that's 3 to 4 times your trailing 12, versus 1 to 1.5 times if you transfer it inside of a wirehouse, and you're transferring that at ordinary income versus capital gain. Or you're talking about a younger advisor with years ahead of them of growing and building assets where they're getting a 60% payout, and that's, versus 40, so it's you got to really think through the numbers, both in the short term and the long term, as you're thinking through these things, because if you really lay it out that way, the long term is so much better. And I've done lots and lots of projections for people with that, and I can talk them through the numbers, because I think a lot of people get scared off by that part of it, right? They're like, oh gosh, I don't know that all my clients are going to follow me. Well, you don't need all your clients to follow you. You need to get to critical mass, and then you can grow from there.
And Jordan's gonna talk numbers. I'm gonna talk quality of life.
Okay.
Quality of life is tremendous. And we had a good career at Wachovia and Wells Fargo up until a point. But the quality of life and the people we're working with and our clients and our decisions that we're allowed to make and the flexibility is beyond what I ever could have dreamed. I mean, to be quite honest with you. And I say that as a very loyal human being. Otherwise, I wouldn't have probably been there 34 years. But it's exceeded everything I could have ever thought about. And I think that'll continue.
Yeah. One other thing too, just on that quality of life component, you talked about it before we got on the Zoom, is no one's ever going to walk in and tell you you're fired here, right? So you know, there's things about being at big firms that happen. They're unfortunate. They're rare. Hopefully it doesn't happen to you, but things happen, you know. And you know, at a place like this where you have more control, it's just different. And so I think that there's a relaxation that comes with that. And I think clients and prospects and business, you know, COIs, they feel that, right? They feel your excitement about the business. They feel your relaxation. Hey, this is the last place I'm ever going to be, right? You can look somebody in the eye and you can tell them that. And that's just really, I think, refreshing, you know, for advisors.
I love it. And I've shared all of the same feelings when I've, you know, launched my own business. It's just so great to be able to be left alone to do with what you feel is right for your clients every day, you know, without all the restrictions and red tape. There's nothing better.
You got it.
Absolutely.
I appreciate y'all coming on so much. It's great to see your growth. I'm hearing a lot of buzz locally in Charlotte, and I live 20 minutes away, so I get to see your growth firsthand. I really, really appreciate the time.
Thank you,
Corey. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
You
All right,
too.
too.
Take care.